jolt and then you'll die.
Hey guys, welcome back. We're episode 21 live.
21. We're legal now.
That's right. Yes, we're legal. We're legal. We are live on a bunch of different Facebook pages, and we're live on YouTube, and we're recording. So here we go.
We're off the chain and out of the yard tonight. That's
That's
crazy.
right. We're just diving in. We don't even know the pool has water in it or not, but we're diving in.
We're gonna get wet or break our neck, one or two. Maybe both.
Right. Oh, I need to turn that down.
Oh yeah, we're live for sure. I just pulled it up on the other screen. Check it out. So if you don't know, I'm Steven, navigator, and I don't know where you're at in relation to all these screens, but in my screen, you're above me. So that's Philip, and we call him the Trail Mix.
Yes, I am the trail mix, and I made some trail mix.
Saw that.
Trail mix, yeah, it's a little different, but it turned out pretty good.
That's good. You know what better be in that trail mix? Some of them fresh blueberries your wife picked.
Oh man, yes.
I saw that. I was like, oh, that better be in there.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man. I don't remember if I brought my dehydrator with us or not, or if that got left out there. If I brought that with, they will definitely be in there for sure.
Nice.
But,
Right on. Excuse me. Oh, my the chocolate green bellies came today. So, well, I guess they came yesterday, and I ran down the road to the mailbox to get them because it's 150,000 degrees outside.
yeah, them things wouldn't last long in your mailbox out there.
Oh man, it's like pulling out an oven. I was like, why can't the mailman just drop them off at the door? You know? Like, I'm just lazy. I don't like to check the mailbox. It's down the road. It's like, whatever.
Yeah. I'll tell you, man, them green bellies, man, those things are phenomenal.
Oh, they're so good. I take them when I'm hunting. I'm just like, take a break, have some food, you know? Yeah. So I like them all except the apple spice one. I don't like the apple spice one.
I don't remember.
It's spicy. It's like literally spicy. I'm like, I don't know about the spicy one, you know? I don't like my mouth on fire when I'm just farting around the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wish I had something to wash this down with.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're really just winging it tonight. We don't have any sort of topic whatsoever. And Steven didn't even know we were going live. I just kind of dropped that on him like 30 seconds ago. And
yeah, totally. Yeah. Like, hey, we're going to be live tonight. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Right. So much for preparing. What the heck? Yeah.
Right. I'm not one to prepare usually. I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of can. But I like to think I work really well under pressure. Be like, hey, guess what? There's a live grenade. I'm like, ooh, okay, let's do this. So, I feel like a part of the Brady Bunch when on my screen. I don't know how it is on your end, but like you're above me, so I'm always like, "Hey, man."
Yeah. Well, it depends on where I look because I have the OBS, where we're streaming from, is right in front of me. So I figured out a way that I could have the camera like right where your face is, so it looks like I'm looking into the camera, you know?
Right.
But over here is my laptop, and that's where Zoom is at. So in Zoom, you're up on top over here.
I'm on top, so I'm looking. I'm like, hey.
Yeah. But in OBS, you're over here.
Sort of like this.
Yes. Yeah.
How's the weather out
Hey, you're starting to break up a little bit.
Am I are you there? Hello.
I'm here. You're a little broke up. It froze on a really great picture of you, though.
Oh, really?
There, we got you.
Oh, I imagine. What's going on here? Am I
I
back?
don't know. You.
You
Yes.
lost me?
No, I think you're back. I think you're
Yes?
back.
Am I back?
I think so.
I'm back.
I have to say though, it did freeze in a perfect spot. It was a nice picture. You know,
Oh,
usually
what
when that
was it?
happens to me, I'm like or something stupid. You know.
Right. Yeah, that's hilarious. It's probably because of the weather. Like
Mm,
everything's all crazy. I don't know, crazy, but like it's so stinking smoky out here and hot. So it's like a first world problem. They're like, why doesn't my phone
yeah.
work right? So it's like,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I gotta love the first world
So I'm
problems.
sure that affects stuff. First world problems. Let's talk about first world problems.
That's
Good grief.
that's a great
It's just
idea.
terrible. It just sounds like you're bragging when you have a first world problem. Like I got a first world problem. Like the satellite radio in my truck doesn't work. First world problem. You know?
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. You know what I'm glad does not work in my truck? Like my truck's set up to like it'll take a phone call. So like and I don't like that because like the truck will answer the phone a lot. But like the microphone I have for it doesn't really work, or I don't know. I'm not super techie, so I'm like, um, I can hear people. They'll be like, "Hello, hello, are you there?" And I'm like trying to push the button on my phone and like make it go to my phone, and I don't know. It's frustrating. So usually, if people call me, I'm in my truck. I don't even answer. I'm just like, whatever. Talk to the truck.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yep, it is. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
the culture that we have created here, really.
Pretty much.
You know, with the immediate satisfaction. You know that microwaves. You know, we want to be able to throw our food in a little box and have it come out hot in 30 seconds, and you know, it's not like when our grandparents and great grandparents, you know, they spent all day in the kitchen making the meal for that night.
Mm,
You know,
yeah. How sweet is that?
oh man, I mean, the amount of together time, if that is a way to describe it anyway, you know, because don't yell at me for this, but back then, you know, generally it was the women that were in the kitchen and the men that were out in the field, okay? That's just kind of the way it was back then. So, grandma, mom, and sister would all be in the kitchen and they'd be having a great time learning how to cook from grandma and just learning those life lessons. And the same thing would be happening on the other side, you know, the dad, grandpa, brother would all be out in the field or doing whatever they're doing. And then all of that would merge at the dinner table when it's time to eat. That has kind of gone the way of the dodo bird because there's no preparation for the meal anymore. There's no, you know, even being the outside doing the work, you know, all that kind of stuff has kind of gone the wayside too.
Oh, you're totally right. It's like, yeah. So, I don't know how it is in your household. Our household, I would say probably, I would say at least over 60% of the meals are made from scratch
Mm.
solely because we just, we have a freezer full of meat. But I do enjoy a Costco lasagna from time to time. And I'll tell you what, I could pound to that. I'm not gonna eat a whole one almost by myself. I'm a pig. So, but I wish you could microwave those. They take like an hour and a half in the oven. I'm like, come on, you can't speed this up. It's lasagna.
Oh man.
It's terrible. First world problem.
That's
But no,
right.
you're totally right about like getting together. That's my favorite room in the house is the kitchen. Like when we go look, we looked at a few houses or we go to a friend's house or all these houses that we work in. I'm like, how big is the kitchen? I love the kitchen because I'm like, that's where everything. Like you said, I think that's where everything used to happen, and I think that's where everything still should happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, I saw a meme one time. It says women belong in the kitchen, and I said men belong in the kitchen. I said everybody belongs in the kitchen because that's where the food is.
Absolute truth.
Yeah. I love eating, and I don't, I'm not a fat guy, but man, I love food, and I'm just like, our downstairs in our kitchen. I mean, that's where pretty much everything happens. Like, kids running in and out.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's always in the kitchen getting some kind of food or drink or. Pardon me, I just finished dinner. As a matter of fact, I had backstrap for dinner, so get some of that. Teriyaki, backstrap. I think it was teriyaki, whatever my wife marinated in, and then so there was like teriyaki rice. Put that on your plate. Put the backstrap on top of that. Side of cream corn. Pretty good. But yeah, I mean, just like in the kitchen, I was in our house, just perpetual, like in the kitchen. And the cool part is like it's a high traffic area, so it's like there's a back door in the kitchen, there's a garage door in the kitchen. So like you're in the garage, like boop, jump in, grab something to eat, boop, back out. So I love being in the kitchen.
Yeah, because I think if you were to, the vast majority of people, if you were to ask them about, memories that they have of their childhood, maybe even specifically for holidays, most of those are going to have to do with, being in the kitchen and cooking a meal and, if nothing else, eating the meal. And I don't know. I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with, having microwave dinners and whatever. But I think it's just like anything else. If you take it to an extreme, then it can be detrimental to, you might not have the relationship with family members that you would have if you had the same kind of interactions that our grandparents had with their parents, those kinds of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I remember telling my mom a lot of things happened in the kitchen when I was a kid. You got a lot of whoopings in the kitchen. I remember that because that's where the wooden spoon was.
Yeah.
Or I mean, like the kitchen was the first place I told my mom I had a tattoo. Just stuff like that. I personally learned I learned how to cook. So I'm like, I love cooking.
Mm-hmm.
I just think cooking in general, just brings everybody together. If you can get everybody together, because like if you have like a big family or you just come from two opposite ends, kind of like my wife and I. She lived in Montana her whole life. I've been all over the country and spent a good portion of it in the Southwest where they have flavor. Yeah. So like when I moved to Montana, I'm telling you, I love Montana, but these people have no idea what flavor is coming from. Like I call it northern Mexico. It's so good down there. So one of the guys I work with, the only other guy I work with, he's from California. And every once in a while, I'll be like, what sounds good right now? I'm like, some nachos, some pico de gallo, a little cantina on the street where you just sit around, watch people go by. And he's like, yeah, I miss that. So it's like, anyways, but I mean, that's what food brings people together. I mean, I think that's the two biggest things, like even in the Bible. Here we go. Is food. There's a fly in here. What the heck? It's a big one too. Probably make a meal out of him. I lost my train of thought. Oh, food and music. You know, I mean, who doesn't like good food? Like wherever you're from, because you're gonna think that's the greatest food ever.
Right.
So you take wherever you're from, and your little, your favorite food, and you're all nostalgic. You get the music and the food and your favorite beverage or whatever. And I mean, that just brings people together. Like fresh tortilla chips and fresh pico de gallo, or fresh carne asada tostitos with the freshest handmade pico de gallo you ever had in your life, served by someone who doesn't even speak English. Just like, there's no pictures on the menu. You're just like, just enough Spanish to get one.
Yeah.
Get them that.
No,
Like,
I want that right there. Like,
yeah. Not even that. You're just like, phones. You're just people and food and music. It's just those three things, man, just make the world go round. I'm telling you. So good. I mean, how many times did Jesus sit down and have a meal with somebody?
Yes.
Or, or you take Psalms, biggest book in the Bible. It's all about music. So, God made all this crazy good food that and he put some of it in Europe, and then he put the rest in Mexico. It's so good.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, we'll put a little flavor here, a little flavor here.
Yeah.
And then wild animals for everybody else. Oh man.
So speaking of food, okay, so we're gonna get a little deep here.
Ooh, deep fry?
Deep fried, yes, deep fried. So this just kind of came to mind about talking about food in the Bible and so communion. Communion is the recreation, if you will, of the Last Supper, and but so skip all the jargon. Is communion something that is specifically can you have communion at home?
I don't see why not. Because in the original, let's see the original text. All right, let's just have my Bible. So it says I'm going to talk and look up at the same time here. Dooby. It says when you get together, where is it? Oh, here it is. Took the cup. All right, so this is kind of sidetrack just for 1 second, but it's part of what went down at when Jesus had the Last Supper. Okay.
Sweet. Yeah.
If you look at Matthew, I've never heard anybody say this before, and I've never read it myself personally, apparently, or if I have, never paid any attention to it.
Love it.
So, Matthew 26, verse 26. Well, it's verse 26 through 30. and it's titled "Jesus Institutes the Lord's Supper."
Ah,
All right, so I'm just going to read those. I'm going to read those 4 verses, if you will. So here we go. And as they were eating, Jesus took bread, blessed it, and broke it, and gave it to the disciples and said, "Take, eat. This is my body." Then he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, "Drink from it, all of you. For this is my blood of the new covenant, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. But I say to you, I will not drink of the fruit of the vine from now until the day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." Verse 30. And when they had sung a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. Dude, they had food and they had a song.
Yes, sir.
Dude, how come no one ever talks about that? I've never heard anybody say that. They had a song. All right, so what I'm actually, what I'm looking for is, so that's super cool. I knew what I was looking for was in Matthew, or kind of what I was looking for in Matthew, but I'm looking for, because I'm pretty, in one of the, Jesus dies. It's just fun because it's like, makes you think.
Right.
Betrayal, prayer in the garden. There we go. Good. Same thing in Mark. They sung another song. They sang a song. So as to whether or not you can do it at home, I don't see why you can't. Because basically, they basically were home, if you will. They were.
Yeah.
They were getting ready for Passover.
In the upper room.
Yeah, so it's like they were home, if you will, quote unquote. I don't see why you can't. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think so many people get caught up in like, oh, I can only do that at church. But I mean, what is the church? Is it a building? Is it a group of people?
Mm-hmm.
Can it be both? You know what I'm saying? So I don't see it. I mean, as long as you're doing it according to the scripture, I don't see why not.
Yeah, that's where you hit it right there, I think, is if your heart is in the right place and you're doing it for the right reasons with the right intentions,
right,
then you're in my book you're good.
Yeah.
Like you said, this is one of those things that people get caught up on, this thing that, oh, you can't have communion unless you have it at church,
Yeah.
Unless you hear a pastor or a priest or a whatever say those words, that Jesus said, "Take and eat, this is my body.
Mm.
Take and drink, this is my blood poured out for you." You hear that in every church and probably every first Sunday of the month. I don't know what it is, but that's generally what it is the first Sunday of the month is
right.
Generally communion day.
Yeah.
And, it's not, again, that in and of itself, that's not a bad thing, but when it has become so ritualistic that it's kind of lost its potency as far as, what it really symbolizes.
Mm.
I don't know. I mean, that's just my ramblings about that. It's like,
oh, it's not rambling.
It's not. I'm not saying that having communion in church is a bad thing, or it's so personal that to say that it's a bad thing would not be right. and
Right,
super
right.
judgy.
You just don't want it to turn into just another like just like thing at church, like you're saying. Like, oh, it's
Yes.
the first Sunday or
Yes.
whatever day of the week,
Yes.
it's the first, so we're gonna have that. So it's like
Right.
is it like just like a ritual to you, or does it
Exactly.
actually mean something to you?
Yes. You
So
know, that, and how much power are you giving it? You know, if you find yourself saying, "Oh, it's the first Sunday of the month. I have to go to church today so I can take communion and I can be, absolved or whatever."
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
if you're saying that, you need to get a hold of us and talk to us about that because that's not a good place to be.
No, and I never remember what day of the and we do it. We go to church on a Wednesday night, but I'm like, so I think it's like the first Wednesday, but it's like, and if anybody I go to church with is watching this, I'm like, well, you don't even know, and I'm like, I have. To me, I don't need to keep track. It doesn't. I don't need to keep track. I kind of like to be surprised. I'm like, oh, it's today, or
Right.
oh, we're gonna do this. You know what I mean? So you're not like you're not already going in like, all right, it's just a ritual. We have to do this tonight. Blah blah blah.
Right.
Me, I don't know. I forget, and I'm just like, oh, hey, whoa, yeah, this is heavy. It's serious. Let's think about this. So it kind of that works for me in a way because I'm not already like, all right, gotta go to church tonight, gotta do this, gotta do that. I'm just like, because I'll be sitting there, I'm like, hey, the pastor like, yeah, we're gonna do communion tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh yeah, let's do that. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's a good thing. It's just that I'm like,
Right.
I don't know, keeps you from being preoccupied about it. But I'm super intrigued about like the first two, like Matthew Mark mentioned these things done, which I think is fantastic. Like, I wonder if they harmonized. Awesome they sounded. Oh,
I have to think that they sounded really good. I picture.
you would think they had Jesus with them. Like Jesus probably sounded like amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I have to imagine that he had, at minimum better than average. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
but I picture like a. Have you ever listened to any like Gregorian chants, like that kind of, like hall music?
Yeah.
I picture that kind of thing, and it's like you take some of these old hymns that we talk about all the time, like Amazing Grace, and I don't know, pick one. Well, even the oldest hymn that I could think of wasn't around then.
Yeah.
So, what was the hymn that they were singing? That's what I would want to know. Is like, what was the hymn that Jesus himself was singing?
No kidding. And what were they? They're singing in Aramaic or Hebrew, or
I would have to imagine it'd be Aramaic. I mean, I think, wasn't Aramaic like the primary language that Jesus used?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I would have to assume it'd be Aramaic, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Imagine how cool that sounded. 12 guys singing a song, probably in perfect pitch, perfect harmony. Had to be. You can't be off key and sing with Jesus. I mean, come on.
Well, and then you could get into the whole joyful noise debate with that one. Yeah, you could probably. They may not have sounded all that great, but they probably sounded really good to Jesus and God.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But
I don't. I just think it's super cool to sing a song. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know why no one ever. I've never literally ever heard anybody say they focus on which is great. I mean, they should. You focus on the meaning of the Last Supper and what it all means. But I'm like,
right
at the end, I'm like, these guys busted out in song.
Yeah.
I mean, was it a sorrowful song? Was it a joyful song? Was it just? Well, I mean, what was the context here?
Yeah.
I'm thumbing back, man, because I gotta see if I can like put anything to this to see what it says.
With what happened immediately after that, I hope it was a joyful song because
yeah, you would think
Jesus said immediately after that, "You will fall away because of me this night."
Right.
Oh, yeah. Well.
So maybe it's kind of like a cheery song, you know. They had the bread, they had the wine, and you know, if I don't know if they had a main course or whatever, if you will. You know, he explained, you know, so they're a little jazzed, if you will, and they're like, hey, and they got a good song, and they're, you know, mildly pumped, you know, and then once they all settle down, Jesus is like, bump. You gotta, you know. I think sometimes we read scripture and particularly stuff like this, like when Jesus said something, it's like read it as like almost a script, you know.
Yeah.
You don't think of like in between lines or that's something in my eyeball. Or in between paragraphs, or whatever, if there was downtime or you know you I mean I think sometimes just read it blankly and we don't put any thought into it. I'm like, these are like real people, you know, there's real emotions, there's things going on here.
Yeah.
You know, but I think sometimes people just like, and punctuation gets me. I mean, everybody like, I mean, we're all guilty of it, I suppose. We just read the Bible like at face value. It's like, no. And you're like, you know, there's punctuation there, you know. Yep. You know, there's people that are excited. There's people that are yelling. There's people that are just having a conversation. There's, you know, it's like if you just read it, like I just, you know, discovered that they sang a song. I'm kind of excited about that. So it's like, you know, what were they feeling? What were they thinking? What was going on? What's the backstory? What's the atmosphere? You know, so. I call that hermeneutics, by the way.
That's right.
So
context.
Context,
is
yes.
everything.
It's not just words on a paper. Like you're not just like reading a menu, like, oh, I'll have a cheeseburger and fries with no emotions. You know, it's like that's lame. There's emphasis on things here. Yes. Things are going down, things are happening, people are coming and going, stopping and you know.
Some of those things are kind of hidden a little bit, you know. You gotta.
Yeah.
I will tell you this though: if Jesus repeats himself, like truly, if he says the same words back to back like that, pay attention.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, and they're usually like emphasized. Like there's exclamation points. I don't know if they had exclamation points back there. If this is. The Greek to English equivalent. But anyways, yeah, things are serious, like you said. Yeah, I don't know, I'm just paraphrasing. I don't know if Jesus liked to repeat himself or not, but he's like, hey, you're not getting it. Listen.
Yeah.
Let's focus, people. I'm just like kind of hooked on the fact that I want to know what they were singing.
Yeah, I would love to know what that hymn was that they were singing. So if anybody watching this knows what that is, let us know.
Let us know.
Yes.
So that's cool though. That ties in because like we didn't even know we were talking about that one. I got food and song right there for dinner. Sorry, I'm so stinking tired. It gets pretty hot over there. So, I mean, it's the flipping desert. So I'm complaining about being hot in Montana. I lived in the desert for quite a while. I moved here, so it won't be hot anymore. Well, that backfired. But food is where it's at. Food brings people together, like we talked about earlier.
Yes.
And the fact that Jesus was singing a song with the disciples. Just blows my mind. I think that's fantastic.
Yes. Yes. That and yeah, to know the whole story behind that hymn, you know, was this, was it Peter that stood up and said, "Hey guys, we're gonna sing now," or was it Jesus that instigated the singing? What was the whole story? That would be very interesting to know.
That would be super cool. I wonder if it was just like a Jewish tradition, maybe, or something.
Yeah, yeah, and that's very possible. Yeah, if you've ever seen Fiddler on the Roof,
I have not.
That's they granted, don't I know there's people out there that are probably laughing hysterically right now because I mentioned that, because I mean Fiddler on the Roof is a musical, and it's like I don't know when it's set, but it's an interesting show. The first half is interesting. The second half is depressing. Don't watch the second half.
Good to know.
But yeah, in there they had songs for like they had songs for marriage, and they had songs for this and songs for that, and part of me thinks that's at least somewhat true.
Yeah, was there like a pre-dessert song that they sang about or something? Song about some pie, maybe? I'm just being silly. No, it was a hymn, so I mean, I would love to know what it was, though. I'm trying to see if it's mentioned in Luke. I don't think it is.
I wonder.
So in Luke, they after Jesus after they did the food and after they did the bread and wine, Jesus drops that someone's going to betray them or betray him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the disciples began to question among themselves who was going to do it. So it sounds like they had the food, drink, song, and then betrayal or something, Make sense? Are you there?
I am, yeah. So
Okay.
I'm
just like super intrigued about all
we
this.
started out the show by talking about first world problems, right? So I asked Google, what was the hymn sung at the Last Supper?
Oh, no way.
So okay, so this is according to let's see here. I want to get this reference. MyDailyTribune.com. I have no idea where these guys are at, what their beliefs are, nothing, okay? So,
good.
It says in here, remember, Psalm 118 was sung during Passover. Scholars believe that Jesus and his disciples followed this tradition by singing it at the conclusion of their Passover meal in Mark 14. So
Psalms 118.
Psalm 118 is what these scholars say is the hymn.
Wow, they sang all that. That's impressive. It just goes to show you how weak-minded we are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Psalm 118. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His mercy endures forever. That's verse number 1.
So
There's this. Go ahead.
well, it's not I've heard lots of different, well, not lots, but I've heard quite a few songs that have those two, that first verse, maybe not word for word, but steadfast love endures forever. I could probably find 2 or 3 songs that have that were made from that idea.
Oh, yeah. What's that one dude's name that's always he's just got all the songs? What's his name?
Chris Tomlin.
Yeah, he's probably got one about that.
Well, absolutely, definitely.
Yeah. But like, if you read this is like, I was gonna say the bee's knees, and I looked at verse 12, and it's talking about bees. I'm like, are you serious? You gotta be kidding me. You surround me like bees. I would have never guessed those words were in the Bible. I need to read my Bible more often. Like every day. They surround me like bees. I love it.
Yeah, so this is a great, great, great song.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's like just solid, straight up praise from line 1 to line 29.
Right.
There's a pastor here in Missoula. He's taken some of the Psalms and put them in music. I don't know if he still does it. I should ask him. But dude, it is so cool when he does it. It's like, wow. You know what I mean? It's like all this, it just feels like when he does it, and it's fantastic. It's like using it like piano music or whatever, kind of.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you would love it. I think he has a CD, as a matter of fact. I should ask him.
That would be sweet.
Send you a copy. Yeah. Super cool. We used to go to his church until we found the church we go to now, but every once in a while, I wouldn't mind going back to see what's cracking, because he would do that for a while. It's like he did pardon me. It was like a series on I don't know, Psalms or something, or he was taking music. He was taking the words from the Psalms and putting it to music, and it was phenomenal. Yeah, it was just the coolest thing ever. I thought it was great. So you would love it for sure. I wonder if he did. Yeah, he's got to have done Psalm 118. How can you not? I'll have to ask him.
Yeah.
Shoot him a message. So I got to bookmark this. I need some more highlighters or something. Oh, here's an orange pencil. See if that works. Perfect. Underlined. Oh, they're like all over the map tonight. I love it though.
Right?
We're always over the map. The map.
The map.
The map.
Oh, I just had flashbacks of my kids watching Dora the Explorer.
I was gonna say, use the map. Use the map.
Use the map. Use the map. Use the map. Use the map.
I'm the map. And there's that fox. He was always stealing stuff.
Yeah, swiper, no swiping. Swiper, no swiping.
Yeah, stupid show.
Yeah. You don't know what we're talking about. When you have kids, you will.
Dora the Explorer.
Right.
With the backpack.
Very educational. I mean.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Other than the talking backpack and map and monkey, but.
Yeah, what's up with the monkey?
I don't know.
The map. There's that Muppets movie. We have it. Where they try to get all the Muppets back together. That's a musical. And they need to go to Europe to get Miss Piggy. And they're like, how are we going to get there? We're in a car. And they're like, oh, we'll travel by map. And they push this button, and then it's like, and they end up in France or something. I was like, hey. So my kids do that once in a while. I'm like, this is taking forever. And they're like, travel by map, Dad. I
Yeah.
was like, if only.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. If
only.
only.
I need a truck with that map button. I've yet to find it. But.
Yeah, you figure that out, you let me know, because there'd be a
I'll be
lot
coming to
more
your house,
hiking
like,
and
take me to Phillips' house. Boop.
be doing a lot more than one hike a year.
Oh, dude. Yeah. These hikes, yeah. I wish we could just get, I don't know, just to get paid to hike around. How sweet would that be?
Oh man.
Somebody's got to be able to do it. Somebody's got to write reviews and whatnot.
This is true.
I don't think our families probably wouldn't like it, but
No, they would not.
no, it sounds like a good idea. I kind of like being home once in a while. So, yeah. Yeah. Food. So you know who didn't have real good food? It seems like the Israelites in the Old Testament.
Oh, in the
Yeah.
desert?
That is some pretty plain Jane food, man.
Yeah, the manna from heaven.
Manna.
Yeah,
I heard it tasted pretty. I mean, it said it tasted good, but it was like good for one day. But it's like,
yeah.
I don't know. But then they complained about it all the time. But never
Yeah.
complain about your food, because then you're just gonna get whatever you get, and it doesn't matter.
That's
You
right.
know, whether you're complaining to your grandma because if you complain about her food, she'll probably smack you and still make you eat it. Or God, he's like, you know what? This is what you're getting.
Right.
Take it or go hungry.
Yeah, I still haven't fully wrapped my mind around where the Israelites were, in the Exodus time period mentally, because they had for starters, they saw the parting of the sea and all of that whole thing. Then they had the pillar of fire and the pillar of cloud.
Yeah.
And then they had the big storm at the top of Mount Sinai, and Moses going up there and, coming down, shining and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And yet they still
didn't get it.
Like, you couldn't be more in your face, but they still couldn't figure it out, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it just goes to show human nature. It's just like, even though it's, I mean, right there, like, we don't have that now.
Right.
There's none of that. It's straight up faith. But it's like, if I knew what I knew now, I guess, if I could go back in time and see that, if that's such a thing, I'd be like grabbing these guys. I'm like, are you seeing this? Are you kidding me?
Right.
This is wild. How could you not believe? What else do you need?
Mm-hmm. Although I will say, I heard this argument when it comes to this whole idea of, the Israelites not getting it. And I think there's some merit to it. And the difference between the Israelites of the Exodus and us now,
Yeah.
Or even the Israelites of Acts, or the apostles of Acts, is the Israelites in Exodus didn't have the Holy Spirit.
Oh, true.
So I have heard the argument made that we actually have a closer relationship with God now than the Israelites in the Exodus did, even having the pillar of fire and the pillar of cloud and, all that other stuff that they had.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think there's some very, there's a lot of validity to that argument, I think.
Oh, I think so. I think you're right, because, Jesus tells the disciples that he has to go so he can send the helper, which is the Holy Spirit. So, Yeah, I mean that's like, I don't know. That's like having the electrician at your house. He's like, I'm gonna go now because your house is wired. All you gotta do is plug in. Boom.
Mhm.
You know. So there's an analogy for you. Since you're an
Right?
electrician.
Right?
So that's all I can think of, like construction. So, yeah. So I mean,
No, that's a great analogy because
it's
you're
perfect.
exactly what it is. I mean, you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm gonna go. You're all wired up, ready to go, but all you got to do is you got to pick this thing up here, plug it in here, and you're good.
Yeah.
But that leaves a decision on your part
Exactly. Do you want to plug in? I mean,
to
do you want
plug in.
toast? Plug your toaster in. Do you want lights? Plug your lights in. Do you want, you want peace of mind? Plug into Jesus. You want freedom? Plug into Jesus. You want this, that, the other thing? Plug into Jesus. You know?
Yep.
If you're just like, well, I put this stuff in the toaster, but it's not doing anything. You gotta plug it in, buddy. Boop.
Yeah.
You gotta, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I think that's a pretty good, I don't know. That's a great analogy. Just, you got to get plugged in. You hear people say plugged in, but you're like, what? I don't know, explain it, if you will. So, I mean, obviously some people need to explain, apparently.
And that's one of those things that it is hard to explain it.
It is.
Dude, what does it look like to be plugged in to Jesus?
Yeah.
I don't know how you would describe that to somebody and make it understandable.
Yeah. It's almost like trying to like read schematics. You're like, I'm not getting this.
Right.
Because I try to read schematics. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't got a clue. Can we just plug it in? Does that work? Like when I get to a construction site, I'm always like, I need power. Where is the power? Because I mean, there may be outlets all over the house, but like they're not all hooked up. But there's usually one. There's always two somewhere in the house that are always like you can plug in, and you can see. And then you don't usually have to ask. You can just like wander around because you'll find like everybody plugged in these two outlets, and it's just like, well, that's what I mean. It's kind of like, so it's like going into the house is like. Let's say going in the house is like accepting Jesus. But now you're like, now what do? I'm like, where's the plug? Where do I plug in? How do I get some power to get going? You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Or that just
No, it totally makes sense because you have to, like you said, walking into the house is like accepting Jesus. And then you look for the plug. You can't put the cart before the horse.
right.
There's certain steps that have to be, taken in a certain order.
Mm.
If you try looking for the plug before you've accepted Christ, that's not going to work.
Yeah. It's like I don't know what it's like. It's like, I don't know, having power but nothing to plug into. I don't know. Is that the opposite?
Yeah,
I don't
I
even know what I'm saying.
I don't know.
I got this hot lead, but I got nothing to stick in there. So I'm gonna stick my finger in there. I don't know. See how that works out.
Yep. Yeah, because that's ultimately, once you've accepted Christ, that's what brings about the want or the desire to be plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
And, apart from being saved through Christ, by accepting Him, that you're not gonna come about wanting to be plugged in on your own, really.
Yeah.
Because you might do a good job of faking it for a while, but eventually that's going to erode away and just disappear.
Totally. It's like being in the house and like the outside's all done and you got some power inside, but there's nothing in the house.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
let's get some furniture in here. Let's get some lights. Let's get an oven. Let's get cooking. Let's fire it up, man.
Right?
You know, turn on the music. Yeah. So,
All right, man. We've gone just about an hour now. What do you got takeaways? What do you got for tonight?
takeaways. All right. So I think my biggest thing is like what we started out with tonight was food and music. I mean, it's just this thread through the fabric of life that weaves it all together for me. And it's even through time. I mean, it ties things together, brings people together in the Bible and today. Because I mean, there is not a person on this planet, whether you make $1 trillion or you live in some spot in the jungle or something, and food and music bring everybody together. And if you can intertwine Jesus and God into that, you got something going on. So I think that's my biggest thing. That's my takeaway. Just come together, make real food, real connections, and have and get in touch with the real God.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say something else, but it stopped and now I lost it. So that's good.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And my other thing is I'm going to find out about Psalms 118 if there's a track somewhere for that. Because I'm like,
yes.
If they're singing it, if you got some grown men singing at communion, I want to know what they're saying. I can only imagine how awesome it sounded.
Yep.
You know. So those are my two things. The music about communion that I never paid any attention to, which is terrible. So, AKA read your Bible no more. A lot more. And have some food when you're doing it.
Right.
There's just something about getting together and discussing the Bible and having food and having a glass of water or a cup of coffee, whatever.
Whatever,
yeah. Those are my takeaways, I guess. Enjoy food. The good Lord made food. Enjoy it.
That's right. That is absolutely correct. I keep coming back to the very first thing we started talking about was first world problems. So something I want everybody to kind of just keep in mind and think about when you're experiencing some of these first world problems, whatever it might be. There's a whole laundry list of them, but if especially when it comes to like finances, because that's generally the crux or the root of these first world problems is finances. I was told once that if you have $5 in your bank account, $5, you are in the richest 2% of the entire world. And just let that kind of sink in that, vast majority of us have more than $5 in our bank accounts. So that when it comes to the global aspect of things, there is a lot of people out there that have it a lot worse than you. And that can it does a couple of things. It changes your perspective on how you react to situations that you face here. Plus, for all of us Christians, it can change how you pray for pretty much everything else that's going on outside of your specific situation. And that and the food and the music. I mean, don't get caught up in thinking that communion is something you can only do at church. My personal opinion, communion is something that you can do at literally every single meal that you have. It's all your mindset, where your heart's at. And, you know, I mean, we're all broken, we're all sinners, and that's the reminder of communion is that we need to, you know, do business with God. We need to go to God and say, look, I have shortcomings. This is the shortcomings that I have. You know, ask for forgiveness, and then you go and find the person that you may have these shortcomings may have affected, and you know, the whole process. I'm starting to ramble. um, but don't let it become a ritual. It it loses its potency if it becomes a ritual. And I would say those would be my takeaways for the night.
Oh, those are good ones. Yep. So we talked about so many things, I kind of forgot about what we talked about.
I know, right? Yeah, this is what
I
you get
remember-
when we don't prepare anything and don't have.
I
anything
kinda like
planned
it,
out.
though.
It's just kind of.
I like how we don't prepare. Because, I mean, look at how, I mean, every time we don't prepare, like, we just get buried in the Bible. Or, I don't know, we make the craziest connections, but it always works
Yeah.
out. So,
Right. Well,
Yeah.
and you know, it's like I'm sure some of these people that are watching this are like watching a tennis match and fast forward. You know, you have as many times as we switch topics.
all right.
Whatever.
What? Huh? What? That's what Grizzly does all day. He's like, what? For those of you who don't know, I have a son named Grizzly, so he's always like, what? Huh? What, Dad? Yeah. He's like, I don't know. If you took 10 people and put them on sugar and then jammed them in a little, like a 3-foot body, that's Grizzly. He's like,
That's awesome. Epic.
yeah. If your car ever dies, just like hook the jumper cables up to the battery and have him just hold the other ones. It'll start. Anyways.
Oh man! All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. You did, give it a thumbs up, share, all that kind of social media stuff. We are recording tonight too, so we will be able to have this put up as for the podcast too. So
Yay. I missed last week's. It was weird not being able to listen to it.
yeah, and that was part of that is because we just live streamed and I didn't record like a dummy. So
That's
it would've
okay.
it would have been a little bit of a to do to get that put up, but
Oh, totally.
this week won't be an issue though since we're recording.
Cool.
But anyway, guys, until next week, always remember that we love you.
God loves you.
Peace out.
Peace.